And it's time for afternoon news. We're live from the Akua studio at North Ridge. That is also streaming on Facebook. It's Metro TV Ghana. Let's take a look at stories of the headlines of the stories coming up. NPP General Secretary Aspirant Charles Bisu withdraws from the race less than 3 days to the launch much anticipated contest. More teacher union strike over cost of living allowance, the latest to join the Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana. On the foreign front, protesters flooded into the office of Prime Minister after a standoff with police who fired tear gas at the crowd in Sri Lanka. We'll bring you some details of that this way. Well, as students are struggling to find their feet as teachers declare strike, the latest to have joined is the University Teachers Association of Ghana, and we want to cross over to the campus to find out what exactly is going on. Kenneth Jesse is standing by to give us some more details. Let's cross over. We're told that these teachers are having, lecturers are having a press conference. So let's...
Search caucus meeting. So all of us agreed to speak to the government, not individual basis, but as a block. That's why we went away.
So what are you demanding?
I've said it. We are demanding for cola. There are some of us over 6 years, we have been temporary staff, we have been casual staff, we don't have university management should come to our aid and address those concerns.
You also mentioned your members. Tell us more.
Well, those allowances should be given to all senior staff, but our members are doing pick and choose. So we are saying that they should extend such allowances to every senior staff, and we will be okay. If they are not ready to, we are also not ready to work.
The government says if you don't go back, they will freeze your salary.
I don't think they will do that. I don't think we will get to that level, because we are also consulting our lawyers. I don't.
How long are you striking? Is it indefinitely?
This is indefinite strike.
So from today, you're no longer.
Everybody is going home. Everybody. If we're senior staff, we should be home by now.
Please give us your name.
My name is Isaac Donko. I'm the national chairman for all senior staff of public universities. Thank you.
Taking an entrenched position to go on a strike. The government also said that they cannot negotiate with unions that are on strike. So
thank you very much. My name is Jonathan Kabu. I am FUSAC chairman, Eugene. I represent FUSAC on the National Negotiation Committee. So I signed the press release. If you say that, like
how it started, you know, there is one agency by name Petra Trust set up by the government that they should ensure that percentage of people's pension are being paid to them for investment, so that at the end of the day, when you go on retirement, that money which was invested can be given back to you to add up what SNET will give you in addition. We did this, and from 2010 to 2016, government did not pay. So at a point, you have to go on strike, and then the government agreed to pay. He paid the lump sum. But, you know, those monies were supposed to be invested. It is expected that you get is interest out of it, because monies invested demands that you pay interest. And this is what we are asking to. Sometimes you go on retirement and you are paid as low as 600 cedis. People call us, and you see, me, I'm young. Probably I have older who are still in the system. Some are retired this September and they are going home. What are they going to feed their family or their dependents with? So this is so as quickly as possible should deal with this issue once and for all.
Right. The government also said that a striking union cannot come to the negotiation.
That is very true. My brother, to have a meeting with you and you decline the letter, you don't respond to, you don't even acknowledge the letter. What do you expect me to do? It's all about dialogue, isn't it? So you best thing for you to have done is to call me to a meeting to discuss the issues further, to come to an amicable solution. But you don't behave as about the interest of the members or the striking staff, and that is a worry.
Okay, and then also they are threatening that they will freeze your salary.
I am saying this on authority that we had a meeting with Engineer Benjamin Atta at Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. This is not. We had a similar meeting with him, and then he told us again that he's ever ready to put his job on the line to. Yesterday, he repeated this same thing, and we believe that it is a threat. You know, this is Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and as a commission, that you deal with issues fairly, but it looks like he has taken away the fairness and then issuing threats. To these same people, you call for a meeting, and that is so absurd.
So how would you respond to that, assuming your salaries are frozen?
We don't care. We are not. Yes, we are not perturbed by this. We are ready. That is why we are on strike today. We have issued this statement. Like this.
Do you intend taking any legal action?
All right, so our colleague Kenneth Jesse is on campus there, and he will come through with a report. But that is the Senior Staff Association of all universities of Ghana, demanding that the COLA, that's the 20% of COLA being demanded or requested, because it's already an agreement between government and workers, should apply to almost every public servant, and they are also calling for them to be added to, you know, the list of associations that are demanding for COLA. Remember that we have the NAGRATs who issued a 72-hour ultimatum that ended, and so the teacher unions across the country they actually declared indefinite strike following the failure of government to pay them, their unions, demanding the allowance include the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT. We have the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Association, CCT, and the Teachers and Education Workers Union. That's for the teachers. We also had Association of the University of Ghana announcing strike. That is, Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana threatened to embark on a strike, which is what we've brought you the report. And so we'll go back to Ken for some more details. And education, that's Association of the University of Ghana announcing strike. Education of Commission Directive on promotion and upgrading of senior staff members to senior members. We also had the NLC on teachers, the National Labour Commission also appealed to the teachers unions to rescind their decision of a strike, of the strike action, and go back to work, which has not been heeded to. We also had PSWU calling for COLA, and the Public Service Workers Union of TUC also added their voice to the cause for the 20% conditions of service allowance. According to the national chairman of the 65th Public Institutions, Ken Chinebua Kodia, government has 7 days to respond to the demands, else another strike will hit government. We also had nurses joining the association. Now, let's go on to other stories still on the striking. And teachers on Tuesday boycotted their meeting with government over their demands for cost of living allowance, COLA. The meeting ended abruptly after the union staged a walkout.
It began with teachers who declared strike over their cost of living allowance. They argue the cost of living has skyrocketed and they can no longer cope. Their meeting with government ended inconclusively and their strike continues to bite hard.
What's happened today is very unfortunate. As what we can say now is that our negotiation has come inconclusive and we are still on strike. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, when you say it has come we are still on strike. That's all that he has said. We don't want to give any further detail. No, we are not boycotting the meeting. There are other people still in there.
Why are you leaving?
That one we'll talk to you about it later. But for now, the strike is still in force and it ends there.
Teachers are not in this alone. The health workers, including those belonging to the Ghana Medical Association, the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, have also made similar demands. 20% cost of living allowance. The lifesavers have threatened to be back on strike if their demands are not met. And if they do, the consequences will be dire.
We're all waiting for the government to give us positive results or response. But as of now, we've not heard anything from the government. That is why we are adding our voice.
So workers of the Land Commission fall under the Public Service Workers Union. The union has indicated that they too will strike on 19th July. If this pulls through, that will mean if you wish to register your land property or in need of land-related valuation services, you may have to hold on.
Because people are not happy, the system is not fair, and there's no equity in the condition of service of public servants in the country. The point is that people are already annoyed.
Between the labor unions and government still remains inconclusive after the various unions boycotted their meeting with their employers.
I want government to actually find solution to this issue, to avoid further actions from other sector workers of this very country. The earlier they find solution to this matter, it will end all the hula baloo in this very country.
The issue is that government maintains that we want to meet them and start negotiating, but we can't do this because we are constrained under the law not to negotiate when one party is on strike. And so organized labor suggested that we adjourn the meeting and do more talking for them to call up the strike, and then we start the negotiation. So that is where we are now. The call was from organized labor for us to adjourn so that we do more engagement. They themselves are going to talk to the teacher unions. We ourselves will also do the same and then have a meeting, start negotiating for a better conditions of service for Ghana workers.
Will they ever come to a mutual agreement? Time is the best answer. Kenneth, Jesse, Metro News, Accra.
Now to some other stories. The National Council of Parent Teachers Association is urging government to officially close down schools to allow students go home to their families to feed and support them. They have proposed that the final year students be made to temporarily stay at school until an agreement is reached by all stakeholders. The PTA Council also wants the Ghana Education Service to adjust the academic calendar to enable students make up for the lost time. Joining us via Zoom for more on this is Felicity Fianyo, who is a PRO for the National Council of Parent Teachers Associations. Felicity, thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to Newsbeat. So what has been the level of engagement between you and the schools, the various schools? Kindly unmute. I think you're still on mute, so unmute. Hello? Hello, Felicity? Okay, so I think I'd rather have Irene. Irene, are you the one on Zoom now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Irene, thank you. Thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thank you. So,
Thank you very much.
so what has been the level of engagement between you and the schools as PTA?
Well, good afternoon. We, the National Council for PTAs, we are collaborators in education, and we work with the school-based PTAs, helping to ensure a successful academic in terms of the education of our children. And we stand out for our children. And we, being a stakeholder in education, we stand to ensure that everything about the welfare of our children is not in jeopardy. Looking at the strike action taken by the various teacher unions, we as a national council have issued out a press release. And in that release, we have outlined the effects of the strike action so far on our children. Looking at the fact that we have younger ones among us, and then they go to school and there's nobody to attend to them, no security, even food is also in a shortage. And all these boil down to the effects that we are having out of the strike action. So we, as a council, have made some proposal to government to consider, and then to make sure that something amicable is brought up so that this issue can come to an end.
You know, the GES came out with a release earlier on that the schools should not close down, and the students be made to stay in school instead of what you're proposing. What if the GES rejects your proposal? What's going to happen?
We are envisaging that the GES must listen to us, because as we speak now, whose care are our children? Who is attending them? Who is caring for them? Who is teaching them? If they are sick, who will attend to them? Who will they call? Who will call us? We have no feedback. And even if they set out to go to school, are they really going to school? And when they go to school, who is there to cater for them? So we are looking at the security issues of our children, and we don't want anything bad to happen to them. So we are urging government to temporarily close down the schools and then allow only the candidates, that is the JHS 3 students and that of the SHS 3, to remain on campus. And then we see how best we can manage them to prepare them for their end of year exams.
So, I mean, give us an estimation. We know that PTA has been supporting the schools for some time, but this time, because of the food shortage, do you have an idea the extent to which the PTA or associations are now supporting schools more than before?
Yes. To look at the impact of PTAs, we cannot underestimate it. Over the years, PTAs are there as collaborators in education, making sure that we complement government efforts. So as you have rightly said, we have done so many things to our credit, all in the name of the welfare of our children. So to this effect of the food shortages, we have also come to realize it. And we as an association or as a council, we are devising ways and means to handle it. And we are calling on government that this free SHS is a good policy, but parents should also be involved. We want to come in and support so that we can have a smooth sail through this policy.
Right, Irene, Sam, thank you for speaking to us here on Newsbeat. We'll follow through and also give you feedback for this proposal that you have given. Now, let's do some more stories. And some senior high schools in the central region are facing food shortage. Students of Mfantsiman Senior High School have had to take breakfast without bread and also had portions of their meals significantly reduced. In the midst of these woes, a monitoring team that went round to ensure compliance of teacher union strike cautioned kitchen staff against reporting to work. In an audio circulated by chairman of the Parents Association, Engineer Minister Kwarteng, considerations are being made to employ the services of private caterers. Now, the association has asked parents to make contributions for the purchase of food items.
Honorable parents,
Okay, we have Akwesiado online. Akwesiado, are you there? Hello, Akwesiado. Kindly unmute if you may, please. Thank you. Akwesi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you. So give us a brief observation of what you also gathered from the central region.
Okay, so let me say that schools in the central region here are in extremely perilous times because students find it difficult to have food at the various dining halls. Food that are being served to them have significantly reduced. And at some instances, students have had to take in their breakfast without sugar, bread, and then milk in some of the schools. Now at the Mfantsipim Boys Senior High School, they are facing a very dire situation. Just as the PA chairman has mentioned, it's very difficult for students to be fed. And during this time, we have had the catering staff or the kitchen staff of the school being ordered to also take part of the ongoing strike. Now, what the Parents Association is trying to do is to have parents contribute food items, and those who can afford also contribute in terms of money, so that they can take upon themselves the feeding of these students. We also have a similar situation at the Wesley Girls Senior High School. They also have a shortage of food in the school, but authorities are not willing to speak to us on the issue. But what we've been gathering from background is that students of the Wesley Girls Senior High School have resorted to any means possible to find food for them. For example, there is this parent I engaged who was telling me that his ward has actually reported to him that she had her locker being broken, a situation, or let me say behavior, which is quite real in that particular institution, because you don't hear of people taking items of their colleagues in that particular school. But it seems the situation has called for what is happening now. So in the central region here, the situation is extremely dire, because as of 2 weeks ago, we learned about the reduction in supply to the various schools in terms of food quantities. Let's say if at first schools were being supplied with 100 kilogram worth of rice, it was reduced to 60 kilograms. And then we are having it significantly reduced by day.
So that is to say the schools, you visited how many schools so far? 3, 4, 5?
Wesley Girls happens to be the second school to be visited today.
And these schools are in the so-called A classification, right?
Yes, category A schools, yes.
Interesting. Government was supposed to have solved the problem yesterday. Is there any sign of food transportation into the schools? Because there are reports that Buffer Stock Company was gathering some sacks of food that were, programmed to be taken to the various schools. Have you seen any sign of that?
Okay, so going around today, there has been no sign of any food supply to the schools because the audio in circulation, which came from the chairman of the Parents Association for Mfantsipim, was actually shared yesterday, and this morning it is continually circulated. And then if there were food items that are being supplied to the schools, I am sure it's past midday, so we might have met any supplier on the various campuses supplying food to them. So there's actually no sign.
Akwesiado, I'm grateful for your time. So the audio that's circulating, how are the schools acting on it? The caterers in the schools, how are they acting on it? Because I think there's a directive to go and hire private caterers or something of that nature. How are they responding to it?
Okay, so the caterers would have nothing to respond to because the caterers have been ordered to cease their activities, or they've been ordered to refrain from going to work henceforth. as part of the strike action, which is being taken by the various teacher unions. And then there is a monitoring team going around the various schools to ensure that the caterers comply to that directive. So the caterers would have no contribution because it is part of the strike action that is being taken. So they would only have to leave the matter for the parents to decide as to how they can feed their wards. And now, should it be that they are even able to hire the services of private caterers, the PS are also worried about the quantity of food they would be able to gather for those private caterers to cook for the wards.
Right, Akwasiado, thank you for the details given to us. Continue to monitor the situation. We'll definitely come to you subsequently. But let's take a listen to the audio of the chairman of the Parents Association, Engineer Monista Kwarteng, that's circulating.
Honorable parents, my name is Engineer Monista Kwarteng, PA Chairman. On behalf of the executives, I bring you greetings. I have to come your way this time via this audio because of some critical, urgent issues at hand now for us, the PA, to handle. I was at the school today for a meeting. In fact, I just got to Accra from Cape Coast. And the situation on campus, my brothers and sisters, is not the best at all. What our boys are going through, I wish we were all there to witness it. Then probably you will believe if you may think I'm exaggerating. But the situation is terrible, extremely terrible. Our boys are taking porridge, cocoa, without milk and without bread. So I said, what? So this is what my boy is taking? Then it's serious. So believe it or not, that is what your boy, our boys are taking. The food they are eating, too horrible. The headmaster, I saw him today, taking his own personal money, sending his driver to go to the market and buy some few bottles of oil. This oil had to be sprinkled just on the surface to make it kind of. So invariably, there is nothing like oil at all. And it was like less than 2% of the demand of oil for their food. My brothers and sisters, dear parents, please, this is our boys. And
that's the voice of obviously a distraught parents who will follow through and see how government will respond to those. Various senior high schools in the country lack supplies to provide meals to the students. As a result, some of the students are forced to buy their own meals. Government has promised to ensure the schools receive enough. And has this been fulfilled? Correspondent, coming through, and now we're joined by Ashanti Regional Correspondent Abdul Basit. For more, we have Abdul Basit and we have D Baba as well from the north. I think D Baba has joined us first. So D Baba, thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you. Hello, D Baba.
Thank you, Annie.
Okay,
and good afternoon
great.
To our
good
viewers.
Afternoon to you. I spoke with you yesterday.
Yes.
And you gave us some information. What is it looking like today?
Yes, like I mentioned to you yesterday, government promised distributing food items to various senior high schools across the country. But our visit to some of the schools within the northern region proved otherwise. In fact, we visited one school this morning and I was told that they were given 2 bags of sugar and 2 bags of Tom Brown, which is very, very inadequate. According to them, it can't even sustain them for 2 good days. So the situation is
we're trying to have a
still very difficult in the northern region. Businesses and their storekeepers, and they said they have received nothing from government as as at yesterday and even today. So the situation, like I mentioned yesterday, is still very difficult. Meanwhile, students are still suffering because of this situation. And I have some students with me, students from Kamali Senior High School, who are ready to speak to us on what they are going through on campus. Sister, you're welcome to Metro News.
Thank you. My name is Agnes.
Okay. Agnes, can you tell us what you go through as a result of lack of food on campus to feed you guys?
Okay, thank you very much. It's very bad for us here. Even breakfast, we have to go in there with our sugar and sometimes Milo or something like that so that you can be able to take your breakfast. So it's very bad for us. And no food since we came back from break. No, even if you have your money to buy food, there's no food for you to buy. So it's very bad.
I learned from your school authority that if not because of the food donated by one Ibrahim Muhammad, the brother of the former president, you wouldn't be able to get even any food from the dining hall. How true is it?
Oh, it's very true. That was even 7 months ago that our old students donated such foods to us. So then that's the food we are just managing for. So we've not received any food from government.
All right, let me speak to your colleague. How do you feel about the situation on campus? Your name first.
My name is Abdurrahman Lodina.
Abdurrahman Lodina. Where do you get money to buy food as the food being given to you by the school is inadequate now?
Actually, from our parents, but now is how the economy is. We find it different like that.
So what?
All right, Dasti Baba coming through with some students. We apologize for the poor or the breakage in the transmission. And also, Abdul Basit will join us from the Ashanti region subsequently. You're also watching News Speak here on Metro TV. It's time for us to take a breather. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Newsbeat here on Metro TV. Let's do some more stories. General Secretary aspirant for the upcoming NPP National Executive Elections, Charles Bisu, has withdrawn from the contest. With just 4 days to the heated contest, it's unclear what reasons are. But here's a report on his action.
After successfully undergoing vetting, Charles Bisu placed 4th on the ballot. He was tipped as one of the strongest contenders for the General Secretary position. However, with just 72 hours to the elections, which is scheduled for Saturday, July 16, he decided to withdraw from the contest. He communicated his intention to the National Elections Committee on Wednesday and urged party members to go into the contest with a united front. His withdrawal comes a few days after former Attorney General Aikwe Otu withdrew from the chairmanship race. The former High Commissioner to Canada had earlier pledged to whip up the intention of ministers and government appointees to the needs of the party if he won the election. The national executive aspirants will be battling it out on July 16 to assume management roles in the party for the 2024 elections.
Well, the team is trying to reach Charles Bisu to, speak with him, but we have been unsuccessful. As and when, we'll definitely get some details from him. However, the women's wing of the ruling New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region, made up of all 47 constituency women organizers, have declared their support for the incumbent national women's organizer, Kate Abena-Gyamfua, who is vying for another term in the upcoming national executive elections of the party. According to them, Kate Gyamfua has changed the face of the women's wing, hence the need to continue her stewardship.
It's few days for the MPP's National Executive Officers elections, and some delegates have begun to declare their support for their favorite candidates who they believe could help the party win the 2024 general elections. Addressing a press conference in Kumasi on Tuesday afternoon, the Ashanti Regional Women's Organizer, Nana Mampoma, led the entire 47 constituency women organizers to unanimously throw their support behind the incumbent National Women's Organizer.
2020 elections
In the 2020 elections, the women's wing was commended for their good performance due to the leadership of Kate Jemfua. So today, as it is about time for another internal elections geared towards breaking the 8th CAM 2024, I am leading all women in Ashanti region to support her.
According to Nana Mampoma, Case Jemfua is a performer and the best candidate to help the party break the ambitious 8-year cycle.
As Ashanti Regional Women's Wing, we are appealing to all the other 15 region Women's Wing, our MMDCs, our able members of parliament, and Mano, we are appealing to them as the stronghold of the party, Ashanti region. We, the women in the party, are appealing to all of them, say, they should support us and vote for our leader, Kate Abuna Jemfua.
The Ashanti Regional Women's Organizer called on all and sundry to continue to pray for the government in order to come out of the current difficulties the country is facing. The Ashanti region will present about 800 delegates for the upcoming National Delegates Conference of the ruling New Patriotic Party at the Accra Sports Stadium from 15 to 17 July.
We'll still stay a little longer with the MPP, and some giant billboards of Kennedy Agyapong MP for Asin Central has been erected across the northern region. Information rich in Metro News indicates that the billboards were sponsored by a group of businessmen and women in the region.
Asin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong has expressed interest in leading the New Patriotic Party as its flag bearer into the 2024 general elections. Already, some grassroots supporters of the party in the northern region are throwing their weight behind him. Reports indicate a group of businessmen and women in the northern region have sponsored giant billboards of the MP across the region to garner more support for him. Some residents spoke to the news team about this development.
Has a chance to win the party's this upcoming election, internal election, because he has a credibility when it comes to party issues and governance. He has credibility for more than those that he's contesting with.
But I am not against his candidature, because when he speaks, there is a little bit of proof in it as compared to Bawumia and Co.
The party is preparing for its national executive elections on Saturday.
Now, managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr. has cautioned the New Patriotic Party to desist from showing opulence during the upcoming national delegates elections, especially when the country is in dire need of money to settle its workforce.
The fact that we did very well in the first 4 years doesn't really resolve the crisis confronting us today. So that talk is cheap. That talk about we doing very well in the first 4 years is cheap. It doesn't resolve the problem. We are in crisis, but we are doing better than the previous regime. The previous regime is not in office. The previous regime is not in office. You are in office today. And I recall very clearly what His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo used to say in the Mills administration. He used to say that if it's broken, fix it. I mean, you went for power. You campaigned for power. So if it's broken, fix it. You know, we ought to be truthful about what it is that we are dealing with. What is it that we are dealing with? We are still fighting over the rate of inflation. We are still fighting over the gross domestic product. We are still fighting over all those figures and so on. There's no consensus on those figures. How come? So we must come to the table with a determination to establish the actual figures and so on. And the workers need assurance that they will not be taken for a ride another time. Because on previous occasions, workers were given promises. None of those promises was fulfilled.
He spoke on Good Morning Ghana earlier today. Now, Ghana's inflation has seen some increment again, but Winston Taki will be here to give us some more details on that. Business News next.
And now to our first business story. Ghana's inflation has increased again to hit 29.8% for June 2022. This was a 3.0% increase from 27.6% recorded for May 2022. Ghana's inflation has risen consistently every month in the past year to reach an 18-year high of 29.8% for June 2022. Almost every consumer item has been affected, and with wages and most incomes being almost stagnant across industries. Although the Bank of Ghana responded aggressively by raising the policy rate cumulatively by 550 basis points in the past year to 19.0% in May. The strong policy tightening, however, has not been able to contain inflation. Food inflation recorded a 30.7% from a 30.1% figure for April 2022, while non-food inflation hit 29.1%, an increase of 3.6%. Transport recorded the highest inflation of 64.5% and 63.5% in the eastern and central regions of Ghana, respectively. Between April and May 2022, food inflation went up by 3.5 percentage points from 26.6% to 30.1%, and non-food inflation increased by 4.4%. Now, public transport operators should brace themselves to pay additional 20% in transport fares. This is according to the Public Relations Officer of Concerned Drivers Union, David Aguado, has noted that the continuous increases in fuel prices and spare parts have influenced their decision to increase their fares. He said this in an interview with Metro News.
Public transport operators since the beginning of this year has been lamenting on continuous increase in fuel prices and spare parts. In view of this, drivers have not relented to pass on the cost to their passengers. Public Relations Officer of the Concerned Drivers Union, David Aguado, has also hinted of another 20% increase in transport fares starting from July 18.
The why is because of the high cost of fuel. The other time that we increased transport fare, we were buying diesel or fuel at 11 cedis 25 pesos. But as I speak with you, we are buying it for 14 cedis 59 pesos respectively. And that is why we want to increase our transport fare.
Meanwhile, some drivers and passengers at Nkrumah Circle have shared divergent views about a possible transport fare increment. While some drivers welcome the decision to increase the transport fares, others say reducing fuel prices is rather the best option.
Yes, sir. Because almost every week, there two diesel, there two petrol. On the two more, the government and on two lorry firm. And two months say all the time, no, car owners and not drivers, no. Omo bre. Obviously, you jump all this kind of better diesel. Who scout all the best is cry Eddie. And yes, sir, there two lorry firm. Shall be here. Offer secret to Newtama is 3 cedi. To Pig Farmer, 350. But to Jowlu, no, almost 3.8, which is very bad. We should distance, you know. It's very bad. At least I say Jowlu, almost to make you 4.5. Now, yeah, okay. And it's almost to my, you're good.
Yeah, $2 more, and more, because say $2 more, and more, actually say, a person for Cano, almost to me for Cano, a bimunanti, oh, Bassonia Bima. I catch home so no diesel, and reform. Near to see me and Yaguma, near to how far, because I see I'm wedding.
We are pleading for the government to reduce the fuel price so that the drivers also can reduce the fare for us, because it's fought against us, the students traveling all the way from our hometown to Accra to come in school. Like, our parents are suffering, so we want the government to also do something about the fuel price so that we can also help the country to develop well.
That's all for business here on Newsbeat. My name is Winston Taki. Sports is next after this break.
Well, good afternoon. It's time for sports. The 2022 World Athletics Championship will commence in the United States city of Oregon on Friday, and Ghana's team are already fine-tuning their preparation. Bawa Fuseni, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana Athletics Association, believes that Ghana's team will impress at athletics meeting.
Strong word, but I wish we could have done more for the athletes. But the little that they have gotten, I think the little can go far. That's why I said they've gotten a bit more preparation than they usually do. But Oliver Twist, we can only ask for more. But currently, what they've gotten is so far the best in terms of preparation going into such competitions like the World Championships. They are very much aware because where they've reached in terms of performance, they know what the stakes are, and they know the benefits of winning, or they know the benefits of getting into the finals at the World Championship. That's the best, that's the highest level of athletics in the world, and everybody will be there.
That's your sports. My name is Phil John Kwasi. Up next, showbiz, and bad news for those in the showbiz industry because A.B. Crenshaw, we've been told, has passed on.
My name is Sanaya Tanobuache. There are reports of death of the legendary high life musician Alfred Benjamin Crenshaw, popularly known as A.B. Crenshaw. My colleague Desmond Okweku Dancer has been following up with it and is currently with the family of the legendary high life musician. Let's cross over for more updates. Desmond, if you can hear me, what can you report?
Yes, Nanaya, I can confirm to you that indeed A.B. Crenshaw has passed on. His son just spoke to me and confirmed that he passed on overnight. Well, earlier I had been to the family house at Tema Community night, and I met a number of the family members there. They were surprised that the news had gone out saying that he had passed on. But to them, they were saying that they hadn't received any official confirmation from the hospital, and so they cannot accept that he had passed on. And so they were just, waiting for a confirmation from the hospital, and also they have sent a delegation that includes, that included the son of A.B. Crenshaw, and he is the one who has actually confirmed to us that indeed A.B. Crenshaw has passed on.
Have you seen any of the industry players at the hospital?
Well, not yet at the bank hospital here at the cantonment. I've not seen any industry person here, but it was just the son and also one other family member who were here, and he just drove past me, and he spoke to me earlier saying that he had passed on, but I hadn't seen any industry folk or any person here. Same at the family house in Tema, there was no industry person there, but some people around the community were coming to the house, but the family members at the home did not allow anybody. A woman actually came in wearing black, crying and all of that, but they wanted